this race. It's no secret Paul has dedicated fans. That's why Jack and Susie Welch say if the GOP botches his exit, it could blow any chances of winning the White House. The former CEO of GE and founder of the Jack Welch Management Institute joining me now, along with his wife, author Susie Welch. Thank you guys so much for joining us from Florida, I believe. Is that right?
That's right, Eric.
Tell us, sir, Ron Paul is very, very important in the GOP race. Why?
Well, in our view, when someone exits a campaign, like someone exits a company, you've got to be sure they're treated with voice and dignity. You give them absolute special treatment. In a company, you give them good severance. You treat them well because they may become a customer, a supplier, etc. In a political campaign, look at how well the Obamas did with Hillary. They gave her a plane and sent her around the world with a big title, and they gave Joe Biden a job right next to the president.
So what do you suggest we give Ron Paul, Jack?
Very nice treatment. We give him a speech at the convention. We listen to his platform.
I mean, I think that you can't give him a booby prize. You can't sort of say, you know, don't let the door hit you as you leave the room. You've got to really acknowledge his ideas and his message, because he has very passionate followers, and they will come back to haunt the Republican Party if they're not acknowledged. The same way an employee who's not let go with dignity and face-saving comes back to haunt a company.
Okay, guys, the question that's popping up in a lot of people who are political junkies like me is, are we doing this because we want to appease Ron Paul to make sure he doesn't run as a third-party candidate? Let me start with you, Jack.
Well, we have a couple of things. One, ideally, we'd take that 8 to 12 to 15, you pick a number, percent of people he has, young, vibrant people who don't normally pull the R lever, and entice them to think about voting for the Republican nominee, because Ron Paul will be on the morning shows, the talk shows, and he might even come on the 5 with you guys and make a pitch for the nominee. We have kids in our house now who are absolute Ron Paul fanatics, and we have their friends come over, and Ron Paul's got some heated, passionate young followers that would love to capture for the Republican nominee.
Susie, what would be a good job in any future administration, be it Romney, Gingrich, or even Santorum? What would be a good job for Mr. Paul?
You know, Ron Paul's views are pretty different from those other candidates, and so I think that the role would probably have to be advisor, but a real advisor. I don't see him, especially with his foreign policy views, his views about defense, really being part of administration. He's pretty far out, and his issues are, you know, what differentiates him, and the reason why he has all this passion is he picks different issues, and he really makes a case, you know, the gold standard and so forth. So I think... but this is something for them to negotiate with him. Maybe he has in mind a role inside the administration that everyone can agree on. They better listen to him, and if it's possible, make it happen.
Okay.
Maybe, Eric, that he can make a case to the Congress in part of the administration to deal with the Fed in a different way.
I will tell you, sir, I think you're hitting the nail on the head right there. Somehow get him involved with the Fed, with the monetary policy, keeping him away from the foreign policy down the other end of the hallway. Sir, allow me, both of you, please. This is from the Paul candidacy. Jesse Benton, I believe is his name. Yeah, Jesse Benton. He says, quote, "We have a lot of admiration for Mr. Welch and appreciate his respect for Dr. Paul's supporters and the countless young people our campaign has energized to get involved in the process. The only point he misses is that Dr. Paul has a path to the nomination through downstream organization, focusing on the caucus and convention process, and we plan to work for victory both in Tampa and in November." So it sounds to me like he's thanking you, but he says, don't write me off just yet.
And I think that's a very valid tweet or comment he's made, and I wish him well in his ideas, but I would bet the few cents I have that at the end of the game, dealing with him is going to be a very important issue for whoever the nominee is.
And Susie, what if it does start to look like it's going to be either Mitt Romney or Newt Gingrich, and it gets very tight, and Ron Paul threatens to go third party? You still support the man?
Well, I think that Ron Paul has. Look, maybe I'm listening to him wrong. I basically believe Ron Paul is not able to tell a lie about this, because he says so many things that are sort of weirdly honest all the time. He doesn't have that sort of political, edit button. And I think that when he says, I have no plans to run a third-party campaign, that he's not going to do it. Okay, but let's say he does. All right, maybe he decides to go for it. Do we still support the man, Ron Paul? I think that we are Republicans and we're going to support Mitt Romney, and we're going to hope that Ron Paul's followers vote for somebody who's electable.
So, Jack, let me just summarize. You're a supporter of Mitt Romney, but you want Ron Paul to step aside, assuming someone will put him in some advisory role.
No, I don't want him to step aside. When he decides to step aside, when he comes to that conclusion, treat him with every bit of respect you can, because you want him to be an ally of yours going forward. Sure. That is clearly the message.
All right. Jack and Susie Welch, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you on the show.